Welcome, students. Today we will continue. Today we will continue with the bioprocess control and the monitoring of the variables. Last time we discussed about the temperature and the necessity of measuring the temperature and maintaining the temperature in a bioprocess system. Now, how we meant the importance of temperature has been there for the maintenance of the optimum growth and the production of the product. So similarly, the another important variable that we are going to discuss today is the is the flow rate, or the mechanism by which we are providing the nutrients, or the we are extracting the toxic substances or the products from the bioprocess vessel, that is fermenter. So today we will discuss about the flow measurement of both the gases as well as the liquids. Now, in case of, first we start with the flow measurement of the gases. Now, in the process of the gases, it is the simplest method is the gas flow method, that to measure the gas flow is by means of a variable area meter, and the most common variable area meter is a rotameter. So here we can see an rotameter, the a typical diagram that shows there is a transparent tempered glass, and it has a metering float. Now, as there is an inlet through this transparent tapered glass, the float movement occurs, and through another outlet, through another opening, the flowing substance, that is your gas in this case, is driven out. So whenever there is a flow, continuous flow, then this float keeps on moving. So it gives you the transparent tapered glass is a graduated glass tube, and that indicates the position of the float on that particular glass, gives you the indication of the flow rate. So it consists of a vertically mounted glass tube with an increasing bore and enclosing a free moving float, which may be a ball or a hollow thimble. So this the position of this float in the graduated tube will be indicative of the flow rate. Now, the accuracy depends on having a constant pressure, and the errors are greatest at low flow rates. There is no provision for online data logging with simple rotameters. Now, different sizes can cater to a wide range of flow rates. So, the ideally the rotameters should not be sterilized and are therefore normally placed between a gas inlet and a sterile filter. There is no provision for online data logging with simple rotameters. The metal tubes can be used in situations where glass is not satisfactory. In these cases, the float position is determined by magnetic or electrical techniques, but that provision has not been normally utilized for fermentation work. Now, these rotameters can also be used to measure liquid flow rates, provided that the abrasive particles or fibrous matter are not present. So, we will be discussing that later on. Next instrument or the sensor is a thermal mass flow meter. Now, when we are using the gas analyzers for oxygen or carbon dioxide gas, then it requires the provision of very accurate gas flow measurement. If the analyzers have to work with accuracy or with effectively, then for this particular reason, the thermal mass flow meters have been utilized, and they can be used in the range of 0 to 500 decimeter cube per minute. Now these instruments have a plus minus 1% full scale accuracy, and they work on the principle of measuring temperature difference. That is, a temperature difference is measured here across a heating device placed in the path of the gas flow. So the gas will flow through this particular sensor, and a heating element will be provided here, and as the gas flows through this sensor, it will be heated up, and the difference across the heating device will give the flow rate of the gaseous components. Now the temperature probes such as thermistors or a thermocouple can be put up here, so that in a upstream and as well as a downstream. So both sides, as you can see here in the diagram here, that the flow rate has to be measured from one side the component is entering, and at both the ends, that is at the upstream where it is entering, and downstream from where it is exiting, at both the ends a thermocouple has been put up, so it can also be replaced by a thermistor. So these temperature probes will now detect the difference in temperature, and this difference will be read out by a watt meter. Now this this temperature probe can either be put inside or outside the piping. Now the mass flow rate of the gas is calculated from specific heat equation, that is H is equal to Q Cp T2 minus T1, or you can either replace it by delta T also. So in terms of mass flow rate, it can be H upon Cp T2 minus T1. So H is for heat transferred, Q shows your mass flow rate of the gas, Cp is the specific heat of the gas, and T1 and T2 are the temperatures of the gas before heat is transferred to it and after the heat is transferred to it respectively. Now when we come to the control mechanism, we have measured it with the help of the rotameter or a mass flow rate. Then we need to control the gas flow also. Now this becomes essential when we are talking of aeration for aerobic processes, or for specific requirements some kind of inert gas environment has to be provided. So you have to maintain the gas flow rate at a constant uh, speed. So for that purpose, in case of gases, we can use needle valves, which are used with incorporation of a self-acting flow control valve. At small scale, if you are doing, suppose at laboratory scale, then flow states can be used. Now the fluctuations in the pressure in a flow measuring orifice cause a valve or a piston pressing against a spring to gradually open or close, so that the original pre-selected flow rate is restored. So these valves are working like a piston like structure they have, and that piston is either rising up or being lowered down as and when required to gradually open or close, so that the flow rate is maintained. Now these valves that are being used on a small scale, the working principle can be implemented for large scale application as well. So you can build or design such valves which will work on a similar mechanism, and they can be available for large scale applications. Then the importance of the liquid flow rate measurement is also very important. Now we are talking of liquid that is maybe in the form of the media supplements, nutrient supplements, maybe in the form of water, that is through heating or cooling jackets, or there may be the spent media or the product that can be harvested, maybe it is in a solution form. So we need to consider the flow rate measurement in those cases also. Now on a laboratory scale, on a small scale, we can do it manually using a sterile burette that can be connected to the feed pipe, and the timing the and when if we time the exit of the measured volume, then we can know how much is the flow rate. So here we can also use rotameters for large scale applications, as we discussed in the gaseous components. Same way here also the rotameters can be used. Only the consideration is that the liquid should not contain any kind of abrasive material. Then another method is an electric flow transducer that can be used here. Now, in the case of these electric flow transducers, these are expensive method and they can cope with particulate matter in the suspension. Now, these can measure the flow rates from very low to very high, that is approximately 50 centimeter cube per minute to 500,000 decimeter cube per minute, with an accuracy of plus minus 1%. Now, in a particular design of this electrical flow transducer, there are two windings outside the tube that are supplied with an alternating current to create a magnetic field. The potential difference in the fluid can be measured by a pair of electrodes and is directly proportional to the velocity of the fluid. Now, if we are trying to do it in case of a batch culture or a fed batch culture, then there is a cheaper alternative to measure the flow rate, and these are known as the load cells. The fermenter and all ancillary reservoirs are attached to the load cells, which will monitor the increase or decrease in weight of various vessels at regular time intervals. Provided the specific gravity of the liquids are known, it is possible to estimate the flow rates accurately in different feed pipes. This is another technique which may be used with particulate suspensions. Then another device is a metering pump, which can be used with liquids that are that are flowing continuously at a predetermined rate, and that have an accuracy also. So a variety of metering pumps are commercially available, including motorized syringes, peristaltic pumps, piston pumps, or the diaphragm pumps. Now the motorized syringes are used only when very small quantities of liquid have to be added to slowly to a vessel. In a peristaltic pump, the liquid is moved forwards gradually by squeezing a tubing held in a semicircular housing. A variety of sizes of tubes can be used in different pumps that produce different known flow rates over a very wide range. And suspensions can even be handled since the liquid has no direct contact with the moving parts. Now, if we are using a piston pump, then it can be accurately machined ceramic or stainless steel piston moving in a cylinder normally fitted with double ball inlet and outlet valves. The piston may be driven by a constant speed motor. Now, if for the control of the flow rate of the liquids, it can be varied with defined range by changing the stroke rate or the length of the piston stroke using a different piston sizes. So you have the sizes that are available are in centimeter cube per hour to thousands of decimeter cube per hour, and all can be operated at relatively high working pressures. But the drawback is that they cannot be used by pump fibrous or particulate to pump fibrous or particulate suspensions. Now the piston pumps also have a cost factor added to them. They are expensive, and they are more expensive as compared to their similar sized peristaltic pumps, but they do not suffer from a tube failure. Thank you.